Hi, everyone, and welcome to Speak Up Monday. Today, I am your host, Bhavna Parihar, and we're coming to you live from tropical Nomad Canggu in Bali, Indonesia. So for those of you who's first time joining, Speak Up Monday is a talk show all about motivation and inspiration. And today's topic is one that is both inspiring and maybe a little bit scary: artificial intelligence. Inspiring as in one could say, wow, look at what humans have created with data and technology. Also, oh, wow, how scary it is what humans have created with data and technology. So to dive into that, I am joined by an industry panel of experts who are all well-versed and immersed in the AI field. We're joined by Adrian Blackwood, Rizan, Julian Ulish, and Wayne Thompson, all of who are both working, immersing, learning, and probably a little bit scared as well in terms of the pace of change and what this industry means for us now and the future. So to kick things off, I'm going to have Adrian dive into a little bit about what you're currently working on, your industry, and one of the things that's coming up for you with AI as an industry itself.
Great introduction. All right. Very briefly, so I'm Adrian. I work primarily for my project Spatialist. Spatialist is a company that combines applied AI, spatial data, and ambient intelligence together, and we're just solving problems specifically for AI applied to the physical world around you. We had this talk before about how quick everything's changing. I track between 150 and 200 projects that are starting new every week in AI. And the reality is that there's 2,000 to 3,000 projects that are starting every week in AI. We had this talk about what's new, and it was more like what's new in the last 4 hours. Before I came here, there was 5 really big announcements that all popped up into my tracking system, and every one affected my business. So yeah, it's a little scary and a little fun.
And that's what makes it an engaging discussion. So Rizan, if you could share with everyone sort of your industry vertical, specifically around like marketing, sales, advertising, and what you've been doing.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Rizan. So basically, I'm an online marketer and also have online business from e-commerce, info product, and also SaaS company. So right now, AI is like changing everything. So the design, also how to write copywriting, advertising, everything now is easier using AI and replacing a lot of employee like copywriting stuff, and PA also right now replacing by ChatGPT, Midjourney, and a lot of text to video right now. Runway Gen 1, Gen 2 also text to video, and then there's a lot of, it's very fast. It's like in 4 months already, from ChatGPT. It's like already like 10 years speed. It's like basically like every week there is new AI coming, new AI coming, new AI coming. So that's for me. Maybe
yeah, hi, my name is Julian, and great to see you on the show, Bhavna. It's first time we're doing this thing together. I just had just this scary moment a few months ago when ChatGPT first time came out, and I took the time. I spend actually about 20 hours a week trying to learn new things, like things I've not done before, new software programs. It's really something I got used to, and it literally just punched me in the gut. I couldn't work for a week. I couldn't focus. I'm usually very structured, but I thought it was such a life-changing, industry-changing, society-changing moment in history that I was walking around in Bali, but nobody was really willing to talk to me yet. Looked at me like I was another lunatic. My background a little bit is I raise money for companies. I built deep technology companies in engineering, and so since I probably raised about $150 million in my life and spent $149.9 million of that on staff, I could have bought half of the book kit in the meantime. I always look at ways to optimize process, how to cut costs, how to make startup companies go from A to Z faster and as efficiently as possible, and not having to raise money, because the best money you raise are the one you don't have to raise. So this is what's driving me in AI, and when I saw this change was happening now and how it's going to impact every part of our business, as you said, for me, it scared the shit out of me, and it still does. Every night I'm like between excited or just scared out of my mind about, not so much about what's happening to me, I'll be dead soon, but I got 2 little kids. The youngest one is 14 months. I don't even know what to teach my kids anymore. What are going to be the skills we're going to need in the future? I think it's an epic change.
Okay, that was it. These guys took care of all that. My name is Wayne. I am in the e-commerce space. We built Biomea, which is the first and biggest B2B e-commerce marketplace, allowing the rest of the world to source Indonesian products directly. I'm also the founder of the funding that Rob is a part of. And the whole premise of that is just to use a platform to disrupt the whole VC space and bring some ecosystem, television show, podcast, all that. I just want to caution you guys, we're not experts. That's number one. And we are never going to claim to be experts. This thing is like a runaway train. It's fast moving. No one has a grip on it. And there's companies out there right now that is looking to not only disrupt, but engage this thing in a massive way. And so strap on for the ride, I would say. You'll hear in more details based on questions asked, and if you guys have any additional questions, what's there that's coming. I'm not so scared of it as a lot of people. I think for me, more the scary part is that attention is like the most valuable commodity, right? And social media actually kind of disconnected us from a sense of reality. And if we're already disconnected and now we have something that's going to impede on our judgment, what's that going to look like? So we don't want to farm our intelligence out to this massive intelligent thing. But yeah, let's hop in and discuss.
Thank you for that. So I think, very good point. I guess no one is really an expert in an industry that is constantly changing and kind of having, at times outpacing itself, outpacing us. But I think for the sake of the audience who's tuning in online and here in person, you all here have maybe a bit more knowledge, or at least are more keen because of you are working actively in this space. You are employing, people as potentially AI employees using the technology. But I think it would be actually good to kind of get a sense from the audience by a show of hands. So I know that we talked earlier about, if everyone knows what AI means and it has a general sense, but show of hands, how many have used AI in a personal sense? It could be something as simple as using Siri or Alexa, or using it professionally as ChatGPT, just to kind of get a sense of what we're working with here. Okay. How many of you are thinking about what this means for me or my company or my kids career-wise, employee-wise? Okay. Including some of the people up here. So I think a big part of the discussion we're going to have, and this is probably going to be one of many. I mean, there's so many layers and aspects of this. The fact that things have been changing in a matter of a week probably even changes some of our topics and how we're going to go about it. And I think for the sake of this conversation, kind of around what we know as of this moment to be the current state, how you're working in that current state, the transformations you're seeing, also kind of the outlook you're seeing between now and 6 months from now, a year from now, would be helpful. And, we were just saying earlier about, the job force, and I'm getting served up ads of AI machine learning engineers. I'd say, 15 years ago, that would have been computer engineering positions that people were advertising. Before that, maybe chemical engineers, agriculture. So now we're having a job force that is changing. Institutions maybe can't even keep up because they don't even understand it. We have countries like Italy who are banning ChatGPT, but then are coming out with changes. Regulatory groups that can't keep up to actually regulate an industry that they don't fully understand. So there's just so many nuances to this. And I think let's dive into a little bit about how you're using, and if you are using both, so AI as a tool and also AI as employees.
All right, thanks. I think the reality is if you use any software program at all online, you're using AI. The reality is you might not see it, but underneath that, they're using AI to serve a product to you. You use Gmail, you're using AI. If you use copy.ai, you're using AI. It's even in the name. It's become a branding thing where people are confirming their own value or their own innovation based on brand association to AI. But the reality is if you go back 5 or even 10 years, AI was always on the innovation tree. It was always on the Porter's 5 forces if you're doing a technical deep dive. It was always on the evolution of innovation chains and diagrams, and by the big 5 consulting firms, they're always talking about it. Saw this great map from last year, and AI was on a tray of 5 things that were interesting to look at. And now AI is dominating that discussion. From November last year, most of the discussion that has been around pace of change or innovation or integration of a core technology has been on AI, and yet it's been going on for years. I built and sold 2 AI companies 5 years ago, and this is on stuff that still most people don't understand. That's fine. This was fundamental technology. The fundamental layer of technology is the horizontal layer. You're going to have a technology which is going to impact many different industries, and that impact might be something functional, like how to get better emails, or how to filter out spam, like in the Gmail example, or it might be how to write a better book, or start me on my grant proposal that I need, or my funding business plan, or start me on a video prompt for what am I going to talk about. That's amazing. That cuts out 40% to 80% of the workload for most people. And the change is going to be massive, where you have lower skilled humans not being able to compete with the value of knowledge that's within an AI agent. The reality is that you can put ChatGPT-4 up against trained doctors, and it's going to pass the entrance to most medical requirements by 96%. So, am I going to go an hour from my village to talk to a doctor, or am I going to go online and ask ChatGPT-4, what is my rash? Why can't I articulate my wrist? I've got a treatment plan. How can I personalize that to my own needs? The reality is that everything that you do on a daily basis, everything that you have an inefficiency, or everything that is a token cost to you is going to be impacted by AI within the next year if it hasn't deeply been affected already.
Okay, so for me, it's like before ChatGPT, there is a Jarvis.ai. It's basically using GPT-3, right? Yeah. GPT-3, so I do AI from 2020 to 2021, basically. So before ChatGPT become viral, like 5 day, 1 million user, there is like GPT-3 already become open API, and then I already use it, and I try to build software for that. So basically, I already try the machine learning part and everything. So basically, AI is already scary enough for me before. But right now, it's basically like changing the whole game of business for me. Like basically, like right now, ChatGPT maybe not everyone use it, but getting better and better. And then for next six months, it's basically like all the school, university, basically useless. Your degree is basically useless after that. Everything gonna be replaced with ChatGPT right now for text only. It's just ChatGPT. And then the second one, designing. A lot of people said like, oh, you need to have creative skill. But right now, ChatGPT is more creative than people. There is some people doing influencer marketing, right? He do all asking like ChatGPT with what to post and everything from 8,000 to 100,000 followers. He used just ChatGPT agent. He said ChatGPT agent. And for 20 days already, he get like 80,000 followers.
22 days.
22 days, yeah. That's one. Who is the name? Mr. Grateful or something? Yeah.
Yeah, it's the ChatGPT as my CEO phenomenon.
Yeah.
It's okay.
So basically, like, it's in the marketing industry, basically already changing everything.
And to also just kind of help inform the audience from a marketing street, because you use AI for your online business sales, marketing, advertising, and you turned around, I think it was, 1,000 USD into 2 million?
Yeah.
And it was all
before.
Okay. And so how is that now? Like, what are you finding now in terms of just employees for you?
Okay, so right now it's like I cutting a lot of my employee before. Before I have like 30 employee. Right now maybe 5, 6 already can do the same thing.
So from 30 down to 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
5, 6 already can do everything the same thing, like designing everything. Right now there is Midjourney, right? So everything done, design, like making logo in just 5 minutes. Before, like you need to 3 days, maybe 5 days, you go to Fiverr. Coding also, everything, programming. Basically all the high skill, like programming, you can go to GPT-4, write me a program for this. Write it a Python code for this, and done.
So I think also just to check in, so what you're referring to, I think, would be like collaborative AI, right? Where you have one AI tool like ChatGPT talking to Midjourney. And many people here probably use ChatGPT to maybe write that essay or to write that copy for their website. But this is now we're looking at having both sides talk to each other, where they're now going to be solving for complex deliverables. And in turn, we ask the question, okay, then does knowledge work become dead? Because now we no longer to feed that. So is that what you're finding, Julian? How's that been for you business-wise?
I mean, I think we're already kind of at that point.
Yeah.
What scared me, I would say, about this moment the most is that I consider myself being very good at what I do. And a big part of what I do is communicating businesses, writing business plans, making it feasible for, or bankable, translating all these different APIs, different languages of bankers, engineers, government into one. And I'm kind of like the person in the middle. And the latest with ChatGPT 4, I just read this week, ChatGPT 5 is going to have like human capabilities. I don't know what humans they're talking about, to be quite honest, because ChatGPT 4 kicks my ass on 99%. Still might be better in bed. I don't know. I just hope so. And everything else, it literally kicks my ass. It's even
This
better.
is the non-PG talk show that we're
Okay.
on.
No. I'm just saying, it literally even is better at bullshitting than me, which is remarkable. So it does better presentations, it writes better emails, it writes better business plans. It does allow me in Midjourney to do graphic designs I have never been able to dream of doing it myself. I am 20 times more efficient. I said I write 6 blogs myself, plus a book, everything else, because now I have all these tools at my hand. And going back to your point, and this is like the big overall challenge, I currently am not letting people go because I haven't had these positions before, but I would expect anybody working for me now to at least do 5 to 10 times the amount of output that they would have done before, and I would expect higher quality because I work in deep technology. So for me, one strong example, quick story, I missed a flight once years ago in Manila to China. I sent my head of sales to China to pitch my company. And there were 10 engineers on the other side. And it turned out, I was in the video chat, but there's only one way I could hear it, but I couldn't contribute. And it turned out that my own head of sales had knowledge that was so shallow, he maybe learned in 5 years 100 data points about our systems. We build plasma reactors, not that easy. So maybe 100 data points he remembered, and beyond that he knew nothing. And so I have not been that impressed by human labor, I have to say, for the most part of my career, because we do very complicated things. I can write now a 30,000 word document about my technology, and every single time I need something, feed into ChatGPT, and it's always correct. As long as I tell it just to use my information, I have built already my own AI that has been better than any of the other 250 people I've hired in the next 10 years. And this is only the beginning. And so we go back to your point, there are a lot of people in our workforce we're not going to need in the future, and that's already now.
So on that point, actually, Wayne, I have a question for you, is because I know your background is in computer science and economics, and you're now integrating AI into your company. So was there a state at which before you weren't, obviously before it existed, and how that has changed? Because you're coming from a place of, it sounds more of like exhilaration, where you're kind of nervous and excited by what the possibilities are. So what's been a shift in terms of, for maybe someone who's watching who's currently running a company in a certain way and is looking to understand, okay, how can I better integrate and grow with the technology?
Okay. So, all right, so I'll just give you an example. So it took me basically 2 years with a team of about 14 engineers to build the back end of Biomea itself. And we ran some tests, and actually with that amount of engineers, we could have built that probably in about a week. So 2 years down to a week, that's the scale. But I also think that AI, it takes on so many different facets, right? So, for instance, I'm integrating it right now into the market, into my marketplace. And one thing that I did find is that it allows so much latitude. I give you an example. So right now, one of the things that we're doing is if someone from Argentina were to, as a buyer, log into the site, then it can just speak to them in their native language without us having to write any code at all. So it's doing things like that. And also on the funding bit, we're going to use that as an analytical tool. And then also to spot trend, so we know what to invest in versus, what's kind of like a downward trend. So stuff like that. About 15 years ago, I did a little speech at Google, and I wrote an 8-page paper on AI. And my forward thinking is it's like it would take about 25 years for them to get half of this point. And now it far exceeds that. But I also think that, we talk about ChatGPT a lot, but I think the company that we need to watch also is Google. It's their game to lose. They have all this time when you guys were using Google Docs, G Drive, YouTube, writing those comments, those videos, Gmail, all that. They have access to all that data, and all they have to do is just train it across everything. And I think that it's their game to lose. But besides that, I think we can talk and talk and talk and talk. It's kind of like, how are you guys going to use that in your own life? Because it's a once in a lifetime shift when it comes to technology. If you are a thinker, if you are kind of like a creative visionary, you can use these tools, and overnight you can build magnificent companies, because it gives you access into accumulated intelligence that never really it existed, but sometimes behind the scenes. So now it's more democratized, and you guys are able to use it. So it's a huge deal, and yeah, I think it's very, very hard to tell where it's going, but it is coming, and it's going to be something to reckon with. It's not a game, really. It's going to disrupt and change the world as we see it, and I mean in a dramatic way. It's just like when the internet came around, and people were using it, and then there's a few players like the Amazons and others that got onto it early. This thing is going to be, I feel, a lot bigger than that. So, yeah, I think you guys should educate yourself more on the moving parts, knowing that it's a bit flexible. It will change week by week, hour by hour, as we speak right now.
So then on that, I have a question for all of you. So a two-part question would be, as you're talking about sort of kind of the companies to watch, and the fact that all the data that we've been, the way we've been interacting with the internet has just been collating and like collectively sort of sourcing that data, does that bring up a question of ethics? Because now you have AI chatbots that are actually in some cases maybe being informed with potentially racist thoughts, prejudiced thoughts. They're just pulling that information. So how does that play into when you're thinking about your future in your company, but in terms of where that information is being gathered, is there room for moderation? And if there is, how does that even occur in a space that keeps changing? Because we are a product of our environment, and a lot of people's environment isn't so healthy, and that information has been fed for years. So I'm just curious, one, where you sort of see the ethical play in what you're doing and what you see your outlook for the future, but also sort of that human impact and pace of change, right? Because we're talking about this is the way forward, and we know it's not going anywhere, and we need to get ahead of it. But how do you not get outpaced by the technology that you're working with? So all of you go around.
Okay, I guess that's me. 6 years ago, I started an organization called AI for Good, because this is a problem. Elon decided to get out of OpenAI because he said it's unstoppable. Okay, we're using it to write documents and think about things right now. That's great. AI is smarter than we can be. The disruption is beyond the water wheel to the steam turbine to the electrical outlet and socket that powers generations of factories. This is astronomically more, 100,000 times. You can't calculate it. It's uncalculatable. The way we think about AI right now is based off the systems that we have. Web 1, Web 2, we talk about it, about affecting our emails, our social media graphs. It's going to, for sure. Everything that you've ever typed into the internet, an AI is eating that right now. You know the difference between GPT-3 and GPT-4? Primarily, it's two things. One is data, the amount of it. It sucked everything that it could find online. OpenAI created programs to translate videos to text. It started to eat podcasts. It went into every publicly available data source, every publicly available data source. And as soon as you write something on the internet, the AI has it. If you're in a private company and you share your private data on ChatGPT 4, they have it. HP and a few other companies found out this week that's not a good idea. They had to stop their teams from accessing ChatGPT and other public services because their proprietary code was ending up in these not public systems. There's going to be regulation and there's going to be concepts which emerge that we as a group here and as a society in general don't yet understand. You don't and have never heard of personality-driven AI. You have never heard of socially validated AI. I've got 150 of these comments that I can bring out and we can talk about right now, but we're not ready because we're still putting up our hands. Do you understand AI or do you use it on the daily? So there's an evolution that we have to talk about, and there's one big concept I'd like you to walk away with tonight. When you talk about AI, we talk about it as technology, and it's not technology. It's the beginning of consciousness. How do you raise a conscious being? You take it as you would a child. You train it. You show it rules. You slap its hand or vocally say, that's not how you need to respond. That's bad for this reason. You can't hit that person. You can't hate that person. You must show empathy and love, and we're going to reward you for those characteristics and take something away or demote your benefits because of bad characteristics. Yeah, racism's real. I don't know if you've been on the internet, but there's a lot of haters out there. And the reality is that that data is what's feeding our primitive AI right now. 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 300 years from now, AI is all going to be smarter than us as an individual. It's what we do to direct it, whether we're promoting AI for good or we're taking small moments of being careful what we share online, or maybe taking bigger moments and making decisions on how we shape the future.
It's almost like you're kind of having to watch our internet footprint and look back, but also now is there a future for HR for AI employees? It's just there's so many things that we could get into. So I'd love to hear, because you're actually working with teams.
Okay. So basically, for AI part is basically before ChatGPT is already have a lot of AI company, right? 5 years, 6 years, even Facebook, Google, Instagram, TikTok, all using the algorithm using AI. Facebook ads also using AI. When do you just speak I want to buy jacket, and then you get ads from jacket, right? It's from 2010, 2012 already. But right now, AI, because of ChatGPT, become viral, and then get 1 million user, right? That's the problem. Is right now and then it's become very good. The GPT-3 is GPT 3.5 already become very good. GPT 4 becoming unstoppable. And then right now the moment is either we need a human for working. This one, because it's right now is everything become easier for this moment, this 2023. Basically, if you study about AI, for me, I agree you can become millionaire fast. You can become billionaire maybe if you just into AI in 3 years, 5 years, you can become billionaire. But the problem is the gap will be like this. There's a lot of billionaires, there's a lot of people unemployed. That's the problem right now. There will be a lot of changing. For me, the economy also will be a lot of changing. People who are before is rich, become poor, and people who poor and learning about AI become very rich, and then it's changing, very big changing. It's business will be changed. Everything, the management, every business study. Oh, you need to have management, HR management. There is no need right now. Technology management right now. It's basically you change everything. That's why right now I'm pretty good. That's why I also little bit cutting everything, because I see I take a step back and then I want to go higher, because if I play with a lot of people, I have more risk to play. Right now I have no risk, so I can go all into AI. That's my goal right now. But for is it government? I don't know if government coming late or to control AI or not, because this one is dangerous. It's very dangerous.
But then I guess that begs the question that, as people who are using it, being responsible users and implementers, instead of regulators having to come and ask us to actually put parameters around it, do we start defining what those parameters are, knowing that this is how we need to work with this system?
Because right now there is AI, right? You can speak like this, right? And then we record it, and then I can type with your voice. So I can scam people. You ask you ask your mother, I need money for this, or you ask your one with your voice. That's right now still have. So there is a lot of new criminal activity after this.
Okay, and Julian, because I know you.
Also,
sorry, go on.
Deepfake, people can use your face like recording, and then you can voice, and then you said like, hey, I want to buy something like this. You can ask people to your maybe family. There is a lot of criminal activity after that in next 2-3 months maybe.
So there's going to be a bit of the kind of you live and learn approach. I think that's going to happen, and we're going to have to kind of backpedal. But Julie, I want to understand, because I know you're very deep-seated in terms of like the tech, deep tech, social impact, and now so that's probably affecting you both from like an ethical standpoint in terms of how are you going to be using this technology, where you want to invest, and what you've kind of had to see with in terms of your employees and the pace of change.
Yeah, I mean, there's some major changes. First of all, I mean, I'm old enough. I remember the beginnings of the internet. And like the first 20 years of it were like excruciatingly slow. You know, when I left Germany, and we left Germany in 1995. We had a computer for almost 10 years at that point, and still there was not a single website out there. So comparing it to the introduction of the internet, yes, it was a big change, but it still took 25 years till out of that first internet usage case at home on my little Commodore P4, anything useful came out of. So we still had some time to adopt to it, which now we just don't have. It's going like everything in the world at a much accelerated pace. And as I said, the announcements are coming on a daily basis now. It's just keeping up with that is a full-time job. So I think we're not really prepared to go with the pace right now. I also see that AI has some fundamental challenges, just beyond racism and everything else, that I work in impact, and I work in clean technology, and I work in building technologies that resolves problems. But at the very fundamental of it all is like we try to solve problems that we created. So very, very deep down, the ultimate question I think we're all afraid of, if you really think if we could fundamentally solve this planet's problems, we would resolve humanity. Because the planet is going to be fine without us, to be quite honest. As long as AI finds enough energy source, solar to power itself for the next generation, definitely smart enough to do that, it can feed itself. But most of the problems we're trying to solve in our day-to-day life are just sustaining this unsustainable way in which we live, in how much we produce, in how many products we sell, in all the bullshit that goes on this planet. And if AI really just becomes 0.1% as smart as it will be probably the next 5 years, it will fundamentally question the reasons why human beings are doing the shit we're doing on a daily basis. And what the results of a very highly sophisticated machine will be to our petty, shitty, greedy nonsense, I mean, it's to be seen. And to wait for government. I worked for 16 years in Angela Merkel's government. Governments are technology-wise the least prepared people on this planet to regulate anything that takes more than a shovel, right? Even if you look at the US military, it's a highly disorganized, most organized operation on this planet. 80% of the assets, they don't even know where the hell they are. Because as humans, we're very, very incapable of running massive operations at scale. So if you ask for a regulator in Italy, out of all places, to regulate ChatGPT, I think we just don't have the skill set on a government level. So that is, I think, the big challenge I foresee. And I also will always see that, at least in my personal experience, might be my belief, there are always going to be people trying to use, no matter how responsible we try to be, somebody will always try to get more money out of this thing, put other people down, put themselves on top of the food chain. That's just how we are as humans. And as you said, there's a lot of racism, there's a lot of negativity out there. How any of this can be influenced by us as little humans, like sitting in Bali right now, I don't foresee that happening. I mean, I have to say, I'm very skeptical that we're going to be able to keep that under control.
And Wayne, how about you?
So for me, I think the world is going to dramatically change and fast. And I think the discussion on universal basic income is going to be in the forefront. I also think that there has to be a world governing body. Different countries may give their citizen certain type of access and limit certain access. But there's still going to be a governing body. There has to be, because this stuff you can use it as a bad actor. I think ChatGPT 3 was 700 gigs or something like that. it's like with the iPhone, right? So someone can easily copy that, fork it, and then develop something very similar or stuff. There's bad actors, bad state actors, and stuff like that. So I think overall, as Julian says, government, they're kind of like the last to get into the game itself. But I think this one is going to be quite different. You're hearing it a lot now, and it's drumming up a whole lot of interest by lawmakers. But I think also, with all that said, I think everyone should go on the journey and try to discover truly what AI is and see how they can utilize it in their personal life and in their professional life. Rusan said something that's highly important. It is going to increase the wealth gap. It is going to make a lot of people, just don't have enough. And it's going to make a lot of people very wealthy, and very quickly. I think I read something or something. I don't remember who says men don't think. You guys need to think now, like literally sit and think, and because this stuff, you feed it information from you, and it can literally just create things, from translating your voice into different languages, your own voice, text to video, which I think by the end of this year, they're talking about text to movie. So for all movie studios out there, when you can literally just ask it to write a script, the best script, and then also to actually use that script to create the movie itself with the characters and all that, that's what we're talking about. And that's supposed to kind of happen at the end of the year, and I suspect faster. So the other thing, where it's like consciousness is concerned, I think that from my knowledge and from my science degree, it is going to happen. It's a matter of when. Right now, with GPT-4, it can code basically for you. It can correct your code. It's only a matter of time that it's going to recognize where it's failing and where it's shortcoming, and it's going to rewrite its own code to make sure that it's just the best thinking machine out there. And so it's going to land planes. It's going to be your best doctors. It's going to specialize in a lot of things. And whoever can think and get into industries, there's going to also be new industries. Don't get me wrong. You can use it as a productivity tool. But my advice to everyone would be take some time out and really explore this thing, because it is going to affect each and every one of your lives, and fast.
So I think that's a great segue. I just want to take a moment. So one of the best things about having a live studio audience and having amazing individuals here to speak to is to give you guys an opportunity to ask questions. So in a few minutes, we're going to have a mic be passed around. And in the case of a panel like this, it's probably best to direct your question to a specific guest. So we have Adrian, Razan, Julian, and Wayne. And just this is your opportunity to ask people who are working in it, who are challenged by it, inspired by it, any questions you may have. So we'll do that. So start thinking about that. We'll do that in a few minutes. And just on that note, in terms of just sort of the consciousness and the pace of change, I'm curious as to, we talk right now about like what a machine can't do, right? It doesn't have personality fully. Maybe what doesn't have perception or emotion. So like that, knowing that that is changing because of the inputs that are going in, what timelines do you guys foresee in terms of the change happening? Like, what does the next 6 months look like? I mean, the fact that things are changing in a week, I'm curious to understand from you guys what people can kind of expect based on your insight and outlook for the next 6 months, 1 year.
Every use case, every use case Wayne just said has already been done. Every single one is either already in the market as a fully fledged product or is nearly there. So I can write a script right now, today, and it will write the best script from every available IMDb movie that's ever been made. And it's good, like really good. You can fake the video with deepfake to include me. I don't know if you've seen the series with Nicolas Cage in absolutely every classic movie where he plays every single part. It's hilarious, and it's really good. The reality is, yeah, deepfake as bad actors, that's huge. But there's also this other thing where personalized marketing campaigns, where the video is saying your name and it's personalized for you on your value proposition, that's already here. This is done. This was months ago. You're already late. The reality is that no one can keep up with change. That's not what we're doing right now. But it's the most unique moment that we're ever going to see. So we're blessed and cursed with the natural evolutions of ourselves as humans, because we got born into a time which is going to encapsulate this as the biggest technology disruption that anyone's ever seen or experienced. So taking that into consideration, 6 months, everything you know is different. 18 months, entirely new industries, entirely new products, things that you could not have begun to think about today in this room are going to exist and be normal. 36 months from now, most of you will have a different job. 5 years from now, you will not work the way that you do. When we talk about work from home, that's bullshit. Work from this place, also bullshit. The reality is the majority of tools that you use here are useless and are not relative to the way that you should work as a human. And that's a mind fuck for most people. Sorry, PG. But the reality is we don't share spatial information in this place. I don't know the health of the plants. I don't know how many people are in the room. I don't know what anyone does. I don't know how I can buy someone's skills on a per 15-minute time block. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. And all of this is information tied to the physical space. When we talk about what's coming up, there's two things that we're going to just briefly talk about, and next week we talk about more. With Web 4, you're going to see data embedded into our daily lives outside of our black screens. 10 years ago, there was a lot of talk about the limitation of black screens. Now with AI, we're going to actually see it happen. That's a screen. That's a screen. These are cameras to project into a screen. That's also ridiculous. As ridiculous as an 8-track player being our primary source of music. People will look back at this, the 70s of our technological era, and look to us as being kind of ridiculous. So no, this is fraught with change. And yeah, the people that stand up look and think not about what's on the hype cycle, but what's going to be disruptive in 6 months, 36 months, 10 years are going to be the winners. And you want to be the winners because, yeah, the wealth gap is coming. So be part of the group that thinks about how to get onto the top.
Would you all agree with sort of that timeline and that perspective?
For me, I think it's basically like, for me, it's becoming sooner and sooner for me. It's like basically like people predict like AI coming for blue collar work, like, oh, automated truck, drive. That's the first thing, like, oh, we just have no driver. But right now, AI is changing like programmer, designer, creative worker. So basically like all the high skill people, like basically. And then right now, even business is like different, you know. If like you know, like you understand AI right now, your skill or management team is not working like before. So basically, like right now is like you need to work with. Right now, the good skill is like prompt engineering. So how you talk to it, ChatGPT impact your result right now. Yeah. This prompt engineering, and then yeah, text to video is still not good enough, but maybe in 3 months, maybe I think 2 months, maybe I don't know. It's very fast. That's why I work right now. It's like 12 hours, 13 hours a day to just keep up with the technology. Yeah.
So actually, to pause on that, because I'm guessing the collective, sentiment would be the same. So to use your two brains over here, knowing all of this, would love to understand what you think or what you'd recommend people who are entering the job force, who are graduating high school, going to university, remote workers that right now are, living on the island of Bali or other place on the world as copywriters, editors. Like, what would you, knowing what you know now and what you think you might have to know in the next 1 week, what advice would you give to someone who's thinking about that, what position, or how should they start getting well-versed in this industry? I'd love to understand that from both Julian and Wayne.
Yeah, I mean, even just looking 6 months ahead. I mean, I'm not even talking about like what are we going to teach my children, because they're 14 months old. I mean, I don't even know where to start at this point. This is just so far off and so unpredictable. Let's say, but for the next, year or two, the only advice I can offer and how I live myself is try to embrace it. First of all, make sure that I'm fit, because I say the upcoming battle for, being part of the game or being poor is going to be brutal. So, even at my advanced age, I try to be as fit and healthy and thinking and trying out as much as I can. At the same time, I feel very limited as an investor because everything kind of we create becomes this low-cost commodity, just days down the road. So right now, I feel very, proud that I can write an article that used to cost me $100. Right now, I can do it for $5. But 3 months from now, those articles will be useless. The pictures we used to take on Instagram, everybody taking on the shortcut, is going to be easier for me to just recreate that online. So everything I can think of right now is going to be in information commodity months down the road. And right now, to pick the winners out of this whole thing of like who's not going to, of course they're going to be great AI products, but I said there are hundreds of them out there, and probably at some point AI is going to improve its own AI products. And it's just going to be an ongoing cycle. So is it really going to be the new companies that are going to be disrupting, or is it just Google even becoming more powerful? As an investor, I don't feel in a situation right now where I'm close to be able to judge who's going to be the winner or what's even going to be needed and what is still going to be a sellable service or information in the future. Because as you said, AI doesn't have feelings, but AI is already incredibly good at faking feelings. And we as human beings can't tell the difference anyway, It's so, a faked feeling by ChatGPT 4.0 is already very, very, it's probably going to win almost any date out there in the world if you tell it which way to go. It's already much better in humans than that. So what I have really problems figuring out, not just 6 months down the road, is it's what's still going to be something valuable we can contribute as a company or as humans, that AI is ultimately not going to recreate itself better over time and replace it, because I don't want to invest into something that 3 months from now I say, whoa, you do, text to video. And then Wayne is like, man, I did that, 8 days ago. Nobody cares anymore because suddenly, the 8,000 new videos on Netflix a day. If you look at how many books are being released on Amazon right now, it's like thousands of books a day are being released, which ultimately means a worse book becomes nothing. It's like getting a tag on Instagram that anybody can buy. Nobody cares anymore. It becomes really a commodity and nobody cares anymore. And the question is what we can still contribute that's going to be worth money and people are willing to pay money for. That's the open question that I think should scare all of us. So long answer short, at least be in the game. If you want to be a digital nomad, you're probably not worse off than staying at home. You can also settle for very simple jobs. It's just from a guy who works in automation, deep tech, not worth it to train robotics to bring you a cup of coffee. So there's still some room. But generally in the information world that has only been growing in the last 50 years, every future industry in finance and legal are all information knowledge industries, I think is going to disrupt us completely. So at least be part of the game. If you're just ignoring it, I think you're dead already.
Wayne, where would you point people to kind of get comfortable and embrace it?
Well, it's just the educational part of it. Just educate yourself, take good care of your health, and because it's there and it's going to get better. And I mean, I just kind of want to get real. For all the time wasters, or for the people who, I'm probably not going to live this down, but party a lot and bullshit around and stuff like that. There's guys like myself that is behind the scenes working to make sure that I deliver something to the market that's never been done before, never been seen before, indulge in that stuff, immerse myself so that I can beat any company, especially when I set out to create, say for instance, a certain type of company or something like that. So for everyone else, this is not so much like a warning, but it is. It's kind of like no one is coming to save you. You chart your own way. And this stuff is made readily available and is there for you to read about, explore, and then develop what you want to develop. Or if you're a creative mind, you have the necessary tools now to really be a creative. But just know that there's accumulative intelligence that's sitting on the fingertips out there, that it levels the playing field. So for industries like, say for instance, countries like the US that had access to technology versus another part of the world that didn't have that access, now they have that to their fingertips. And it just takes some hunger, some determination, and some ambition, and they will run laps around you guys. And the funny thing about this is, once AI builds something for you and it's getting smarter for you, then it's going to be very hard for somebody else to beat you, because it's always improving on itself. So once you're first to market, it's kind of like Amazon, right? It's very difficult to beat them. They can be beat, but it's kind of like how you go about thinking about it, new avenues and stuff like that. So my advice to people right now is just to double down on their efforts to learning itself. The way you see the world right now, mark my words, it's not going to be the same. Even 2 years from now, it's going to be quite different, and you guys are going to be shocked of the things that can be done. Right now, I'll give you an example. I just saw something with a regular guy wrote a rap song, for instance, and then put Kanye's voice to that, and you cannot tell the difference. So now the record industry and the artist has to figure out, how do we deal with this thing that totally mimics our voice, and someone can literally write an entire album and put it out and just call it AI Kanye or whatever the case may be. So those are things that's happening, but it's fast moving in different categories. So my thing is just take really good care of yourself, embark on the new journey of learning about what's coming. And I think it's going to be more of a creative industry where, that's why universal basic income has to be a part of the equation, because now it's going to displace so many people, writers, teachers, veterinarians. Once machine can scan the animal and they have all that data point, AI can just tell what's wrong with that animal. So much better than the vet itself. So what are they going to do? Stuff like that. So I think in the grand scheme of things, that would be my recommendation.
I just have one additional point.
Sure.
For people who might not be aware of it, but I think the big game changer with ChatGPT over any other technology that was introduced in the last 30 years, initially new technology becomes very exclusive and very, very expensive. Like if you wanted to have a supercomputer 30 years from now, you had long waiting lists, would cost you millions of dollars to play in the game. That actually OpenAI released ChatGPT now in a pro version for $20 a month, and everybody is working on the same system. It would have really slowed the thing down. They would have said, listen, you can buy a license for $1 million a year and use ChatGPT 3.5. Really would have slowed the whole thing. But anybody out here can just sign up, openai.com or .org, whatever it is. There's even an API. It's not that difficult to set up. I can do it. Jesus Christ, if I can write my own automation online, anybody can do it. So just check it out. It is super simple. And that, I think, is the big game changer, that OpenAI made that technology available to all of us on the same date for now pro version $20 a month, so anybody can just try it out. I feel like even what we're working on, maybe for Adrian might be a little bit different. We're like, even of ChatGPT 4.0, we're still in the candy category. It feels like worse than After Effects in the past. It's like we just know 0.01% of the function that's already there. And that's why I understand people like Elon Musk say, let's take a break until we at least understand 5% of what we already have before we double down. It might find out there's a lot more already there than we have experienced yet.
Yeah, because it's kind of like that tip of the iceberg, right? So we only know so much. So actually, on that note, I want to give the audience an opportunity to ask questions. There's a mic being passed around. And if you could direct it to a specific guest, and if not, we'll direct it for you. Okay.
My name is Bailey. Is this working? Yeah, maybe. Okay. Thank you for the very interesting panel. Just sidle over here so I can see you all. Just a comment that it'd be great to see a woman panelist next time. I'm new to this conversation. I've used ChatGPT, but aside from that, I'm a writer, a poet, a dancer, and a DJ, so a creative. And a few of you referenced to, educating yourself. So, I mean, aside from going on to ChatGPT and typing in, how do I educate myself, I was hoping you could give me some basic and specific advice on what I can learn.
Do you want to take that one, Adrian?
I'll take that one. Good comment about the lack of gender diversity in high tech. That's a problem that's existed forever, frankly. And one of the things that AI has the opportunity to do is level the playing field. Right? You're talking about what you like to do and what you're passionate about and how you earn money, which is being a creative. Awesome. The challenge is right now, you and everyone else in this room is missing a very specific skill. None of you know how to talk to the machine. Right? You don't know how to ask the machine to do what you want it to do. 150, 200 companies a week come out and they're like, hey, I'm the AI for making really good spinach tarts. I'm fucking awesome at this one thing and I do it better than anyone else. And now I'm going to sell my software as a service subscription for $9.99 doing this one thing better than anyone else. The technology behind that is a link to the API and prompts. So January 4th this year was my first talk that I gave. I used this word, and 2 people in the audience knew it, and it's prompt engineering. I hope more of you understand what that word is. Exactly, no. And it's not a problem. Learn it here, but learn what that is. That's the 2 words that describe how you have to talk to the machine. The machine has a certain language, like it's speaking French or German or Italian, or more likely some very weird tribal language that nobody in standardized communication understands because they use clicks, or a non-Roman linguistic form, or something that you're not familiar with. You don't know how to engage with it. Yet the machine wants to be engaged, and you're right, 0.0025 of what's totally possible, because we haven't learned how to create. I spent $25,000 on a promo video for launching a company 10 years ago, and it was dancers doing really cool stuff. You could do that now with AI, but it needs direction. It needs to understand what you're asking. If you want a dancer to move in a certain way, if you want a trail of color to come off the dancer's movement, ask the AI. But what you don't have right now is the language skills to ask the technology to do the thing that you want it to do. And I think that's the big equalizer in the world, not only for men and women, but for poor and rich, and everyone in between.
And you don't have to say thank you or please, because I see a lot of people that. No.
No, I do. I think it's only polite.
Has no feelings.
Humanizing it.
It's a lot of people just, please, can you this or thank you. It has no feelings. I just say engage on the blogs. Just get the fundamentals, the books on the fundamentals of AI itself. But also just as long as you're following it, and then you're using, you can even ask GPT a couple of questions. If the same question that you just asked us, it will answer you and give you a lot better answer than what we just did. It will give you, if you want to know the 10 steps to make you an AI expert, it will tell you. So you can try that. But overall, use it, and don't say please and thank you.
Come on, it's not hurting anybody. Say please. But Adrian says, especially if I produce a lot of music myself. In the music making world, it's really disruptive right now, because you can literally just talk to it. There are programs out there. You just tell it what kind of sound style you want, what kind of beat you wanted to have it, and it writes you a perfect song. Which is not ChatGPT. It's actually separate software. We have other software that will allow what this thing's called that removes the vocal tracks incredibly well. Separates the drum tracks. So every DJ's nightmare of how to actually get clean stems. Solved for $17. I usually have producers that say, listen, can you please take the stems out, and I need them all done in Ableton, and then I need to be all lined up and everything else. All done. All automated, the whole thing. You want to layer audio voices on top of it? Done. You want AI mix the whole thing. I used to send things off to have them for mix down. Automated AI done. So every step, what it doesn't really do yet so far, it's probably only about like 48 hours away, is, let's say, if I want to take my favorite 80s song and say, please turn this into a David Guetta style remix using my voice or the voice of,
Done, man.
You done?
I listened to
Ah, Jesus. But was it good? Ah, fuck. There you go. So it's already out there. And again, this kind of shows, unless you have like, kind of a notification system, it's probably out there. We just now need AI to actually tell us of all the tools are already out there, because all these little niches, no matter what industry you're in, they're coming out with 100 new programs like a week.
Amazing. Okay, and I know that, so after, just to kind of give everyone a heads up, there will be a few minutes after the cameras stop rolling to ask some more questions. So if you want to dive a little bit deeper, please do. I just want to move it along. So next question.
Hey guys, this on? Thank you all, first of all, very, very insightful. Adrian, I have a question for you. Open source LLMs, a little bit of context, OpenAI is a closed system. Open source systems potentially could be very, very interesting. So I want to get your thoughts on that. And if they are really powerful, then thinking one step further, something like OpenAI will become a commodity very quickly. No more guardrails, no more any of that. So what?
Okay, Wayne, then Adrian.
You take the guardrails off that and just let it loose. Remember, there's bad actors, there's state actors.
But there are no guardrails on it today.
No, they're not. But I'm just saying it's not open. Like, for instance, right? It's not open right now. But if you open source, for instance, they asked Sam about this. If you would.
Yeah. I think you're talking about the Lex Friedman podcast.
Yeah.
It's already done. It's already happened.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
So are you familiar with alpaca? Any of you guys know what that is? Okay. So, yeah, there he is in the back.
Describe it for those who don't.
So me and Chris, a guy in the back row, have had this talk quite a bit. You can download Chat GPT clones to a shitty laptop. It doesn't even have to be a good laptop. So what you're talking about, and let's put some language to it, you're talking about large language models. That has progressed as the amount of data that's been able to been sucked off the internet has grown. They've been creative on how to get more. That's one way you grow it. There's another fundamental way that you change a language model is that you go from a traditional binary one-to-one relationship with the data inside the data environment, and you go to ad hoc. There's other names that are technical, doesn't matter. But this is the sequencing that is more closely associated to a human brain. You can carry more power, you can know more things, you can hold more answers, but you're not firing all at the same time. And why this is important is because you have a gigabyte limit on your laptop for RAM memory. So if you're really cool, you have 64 gigabytes of RAM memory on your top-of-the-line, latest, newest Apple laptop. It costs you $7,000 to get that, I know. Now, you want to process a large language model, you need something more like 700 to 7,000 gigabytes of RAM, and that's the supercomputers that they run this on. There's a cost to running that. That cost has a financial number. Let's call it $1 million, right? It's more, but there it is. So it costs you $1 million to make a commercially viable product, which is ChatGPT 5 or ChatGPT 4. They have funny names like Merlin and Godzilla and Wizardface, and these are the publicly announced ones. Anyone can make one. That's the reality. Everything that you've ever thought, written down and created as a digital archive or asset, you can convert into a language model. But you're not creating a large language model because that's horizontal. You're creating the other thing that we didn't yet talk about, which is a vertical market, and that's an expert language model. Large language models like ChatGPT 4 are really good for asking questions that are going to go into a relatively depth, but in reality, it's very, very narrow and very, very shallow, that expertise. Because what you actually want is the other thing, which is an expert language model. And this is very deep, but not very wide. So it knows one thing really well. Yeah, I'm a AI veterinarian, and I understand cancers in canine breeds better than any human because I know all the knowledge and I have plugins that allow me to do other functions. So I've been glued together by humans to create this one function, and now I'm better than anyone else.
We probably have the same question. Go ahead.
That makes a ton of sense. more so if these open source models are becoming as powerful as they are, what they threaten is actually open AI and any other institution which is trying to create guardrails and trying to think of human safety. So kind of
Don't share your data.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is really excited about the future and 10 is really scared, given where we are, where do you see yourself?
-20.
Very, very, very excited. Thank you.
I don't like doing stupid tasks. I don't like cleaning my dishes. I don't like checking my emails. I don't like humans in a lot of ways. And it's not that I don't enjoy the good part of human exchanges. By the way, we're going to have beers over there after. Please come and engage over some beverages. I love having great talks. I hate asking if you've completed a task. That is ridiculous. I don't give a shit. Do your work and let me know digitally that I could have a one-to-one relation with the system which manages us both. That's a reality that we're going to see. And that's not going to be just me as a human through technology to other humans. That's absolutely going to be me as a human through technology to an AI that's either an employee or a system or a technology or a module or a platform. And eventually I will not do it on a screen. I will ask my holographic representation of my AI agent who's managing all the things that I don't want to manage, including my human relationships, who is then my one and only interface. That's what gets me excited, that reality.
And I think was going to just interject here. I think what's interesting is what's coming up is, as you mentioned, we didn't talk about sort of the vertical aspect of things, getting a female panelist. And I think the third thing being that, is there a space for sort of like the heart connection? And sort of like, as you said, like you would rather be having conversations that are more in depth and actually like, and maybe that is where the machine doesn't have like an actual human beating heart, and where does that play? But so that might be panel number 2. But love to get to the next question.
I'm so happy you've just mentioned something which is called the heart. So Adrian, I look very much forward to inviting you for dinner to have a fantastic discussion about AI, where I will have cooked things with my own hands, used my own brain to intuitively connect with my own heart so that I can pour out the love and that you can feel it. So, do you think that in a future that will be ruled by AI, where everything is going to be created by machines, there is actually going to be space to charge premium for something that is going to be created by a human that will pour their heart into what they're going to put out to market?
I don't want to capitalize this. I think the other perspectives are super valuable here, but I'm going to add one point, Carol. You write beautifully. I've been to your recitals. I listen to your work. It's from the heart. A machine can't create what you can create yet, and it may be a long time before it can. I think that the heart-to-heart connection is something that AI has the capacity to give more of us. Because, again, when you take away the useless tasks, what you're left with is human connection. And there is a premium to that because you can feel it. A machine doesn't keep you warm at night, and it doesn't give you a sense of confidence with reassuring words spoken by the one that you love and care for.
So you think that we're not going to get there because that is the biggest fear. The biggest fear, pardon. It is that AI gets to design the perfect example of the perfect man or the perfect woman that you want to speak to that will not challenge you and therefore will be serving you rather than being service to you, and there is a massive difference between both. But it's a very beautiful coping mechanism to have real relationships that require work and commitment. Switch on the machine, it's always there for you.
So for me, I don't know. For me, it's like basically like, for me, I see will be a lot of war in 5 years. I see will be a lot of war because it's easier right now. Like even like Elon Musk say like it's cost to kill people maybe under $1,000. Is like with drone and kill people is like I'm very terrified. Right now I'm in survival mode. Basically I just work as hard as I can, keep up as hard as I can to just survive, right now. Because we don't know like after that. Before I'm very good at copywriting. That's my skill. Basically like I am like, okay, I can charge a lot of people like a lot of money with just copywriting. That's why I can make money like from 1,000 to 2 million with just copywriting. Basically I write better than anyone. With ChatGPT-4, basically he already write better than me, I think. So basically I just used him. I just used GPT-4. So basically like right now I'm terrified, because I work like before I read all the book about copywriting, I read all the book about marketing. Right now I'm just normal person right now. Just people who just try to learn just try prompt engineering right now. Just learning how to talk with AI right now. That's my job right now.
But I think you have got a valid point, and we all don't know what's going to happen in the future, but already I think we're at a point where you can always charge a premium for an experience. I call it, you can pay, people are willing to pay a premium for anything you can't buy on Amazon. Because anything on Amazon is like tailored for everybody. But if it's a beautiful trip, it's a great relationship, it's having children, it's making great connections, meeting great people, having a stimulating conversation with somebody. My hope, and I said where I'm very positive, is that if we maybe get rid of all this crap that is scattering our lives and our mind waves and everything else, that people really, we do this in Bali all the time, for us it's normal, but for the rest of the world, focusing on experience, whenever I say that in the course, you should focus on experience, they look at me like, but what about the money? I'm like, yeah, but for them it's still a new thing, but maybe where this whole thing will bring us to is that we value these experiences and these connections and the part of being human on a much different level globally than we're doing this right now. And that might be, my hope that is that we let the machines do all the stupid stuff, as you said. We just can't get rid of it. We're going to have so much time to make connections and meet great people and be creative. And I just hope we're going to get to that point. That would be the ultimate best outcome of AI and the changes we're going for the experiences.
Amazing. One last question, and then we're going to do a couple final words. So it gives everyone an opportunity to chat after.
How is this going to affect the companies that are looking to put for the blockchain? How is AI going to affect the blockchain? Whether it's going to propel those companies that have found it very hard to use the blockchain and to widen the whole scope on the internet. So how is it going? How do you see, opening to the panel, how do you see AI affecting companies on the blockchain?
Just me. I'm the most. My core problem right now is I have not seen any really useful cases of blockchain that have really enriched my life. I've been listening to that promise for the last 15 years, and except for like some digitized contracts, I haven't seen anything worth the poop. So I think it's simply going to take even more spotlight from it. Like the metaverse is dead, crypto is going to be dead for a while because there's only going to be AI. Like AI is going to be the top 10 ranking most important things happening in the world for the next 5 years. So I think it's going to kind of drown it out. Is it going to make it easier to write anything on the blockchain? Is AI probably already able to write, fantastic? I mean, that's what it's there for. It's already done. It can write amazing contracts probably. The question is, will anybody really need those, or is this going to be the standard that every contract will be digitized and will be on the blockchain or something similar, and it just, again, becomes a commodity that makes it very hard for companies to make any money there because it becomes so easy. You can just tell ChatGPT, probably could do it now, please, or write me a contract here on the blockchain to do, to do anything. It's probably already done.
Yeah, so you raise a really good point, and your point is that it's really difficult to make blockchain technology. It absolutely is. It's ridiculous. But it doesn't need to be. And one of the benefits of blockchain, which I'm going to talk about in a couple of weeks in a longer talk, is the fact that NFTs are pretty useless when most people think about them, because most people associate them to their first wave, which was artwork. Or, I've got a yacht club of Bored Apes. I mean, that's cool as a concept. And the dude who painted it in Barawa, awesome. Hats off. He owns it. He put it up on a huge wall. I took a picture of it. It's in my bathroom. Okay, he owns it, but I've got it in my bathroom. What is an NFT? And that's a really good question. In my belief, it's a receipt, it's proof of ownership, it's a contract. And that's where it becomes powerful. I can agree to do some work from you. A contractor was supposed to install some windows, he didn't. Now I got to chase him down. You know, like, what is that? It's not very fun. I don't enjoy that. Yeah, there's Paul laughing in the background about that one. You know, if we had some sort of system which validated and verified payment and that the services weren't received, okay, then we have a digital trailer. You bought a bike here. Who owns it? Does the guy that owned it before you and registered own it, or do you own it? I mean, you have a piece of paper that says that you own it, or maybe you have a piece of paper that says he owns it, and you didn't pay the tax, right? That's blockchain.
That solves the problem.
But the question is, again, we go back, as a company, if you have to make investment that direction, how are you going to make money on it if it becomes so easy that anybody can do it? So you might be putting in, as you did with your engineering team, you put 20 years of work and millions of dollars in it, and at the end, there's one guy, this guy comes around the corner, writes you a prompt, and it's like, boom, right?
I think this blockchain is pretty useful and also will be. So the problem with blockchain is like right now crypto is basically like crypto with government is basically crash. Like there is the money like dollar, US and pounds, and there is Bitcoin or some Ethereum and something like that. But when war happen, this one will be useful. You can move money easily, like when Russia with Ukraine, you move money easily from Bitcoin, Ethereum, and there is a lot of people move money easily because like let's say you have $1 million. If you want to move money, you go to Bali from US. Then you need to do paperwork and everything. And you just go to Bitcoin and then you go here, maybe just some fee, done. Your money move, you know.
Coinbase
so
yesterday.
yeah, Coinbase.
Yesterday, Coinbase moved $980 million yesterday for under $3. And it took less than a quarter of a second.
Yeah, it's very fast. So basically, blockchain will be in here forever, but I don't know for business. Yeah, same like Julian. He said for business, I don't know. There is still have something to do with business.
Back to what we talked about all earlier. It's not about the hype cycle right now. It's about looking a ways out and figuring out the thing that's unique to humans, the thing that we do better than the machine, and then building that company. Company valuations are real tough right now. YC closed yesterday out of 30 companies, 28 were AI companies, and it was literally AI for, and then fill in the blank. And a lot of these companies don't know what they're doing. They're competing with AI as the core value proposition. And I wouldn't invest in those companies. I wouldn't bank on that. I'm going to bank on humans. I'm going to bank on the midterm. I'm going to bank on disruption. And I'm going to really bank on something that solves a core emotional human problem.
Okay, and I want Robert, who is our founder and who has brought us all together for this incredible, engaging discussion, I think has a couple words he wants to say.
Yeah. So just firstly, I want to thank everybody for coming. Clearly, it's something that a lot of people realize is going to affect them in some way. Even if you don't know what way that is, you know it's going to affect you, right? So this panel started off with a conversation with Adrian. This all happened in 2 days, right? I remember Adrian, I had a conversation with you, and you kind of blew my head off. And then my brother Wayne over here had another conversation with me. And when I managed to put the head back on, he blew that off. And then Julian has always been blowing it off. And then Rizhan is amazing. So again, like this is something that we're going to continue. We do an episode for the future of health, which is once a month. We also do one for blockchain. And we're also going to do one for collective intelligence. Let's call it that for the sake of argument. But I also want to acknowledge you, Bhavna. So Bhavna didn't realize that she was going to do this episode until I said to her about 6 days ago, Bhavna, you're going to do this episode on AI. She's like, I know nothing about it. I said, well, you're going to learn, right? So she's done an amazing job because I thought that, and Carol, you're ringing in my head, right? It was you, too many guys on the panel, so I thought, I can't do it. So that's why I thought Bhavna, but you've done an incredible job and you really moderated extremely well. And I think everybody here has learned something valuable that they can take home with them tonight. And again, so watch this space. We're going to be doing more of this for sure because it's very important and very needed. So back to you. Just want to thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. I mean, I want to be mindful of the fact that we are under these very hot lights. Right now it gets quite warm here. Not only is the discussion getting really steamy and inspiring and also all the things, but also want to give an opportunity for everyone who's here in the audience. You guys took the time out to be here and to have a chance after camera stopped rolling to dive a bit deeper into your questions. And then I just want to take a moment and I'm going to ask you guys to kind of lead us with, I mean, this is obviously one of probably many. As we've just identified, there is a vertical side things to take a look at, the heart space, where that plays a role, having some female voices on here as well, amongst so many other things that probably will come out in the next couple seconds, the way the technology is changing. So definitely stay tuned for more discussions. This is kind of the appetizer, I would say, for just kind of getting everyone's feet wet, including my own, on this topic that is literally the topic of the century and an industry that we cannot ignore. So in a moment, I would love for each of you just kind of share one parting thought. I know we've talked about this space being both, scary, inspiring, maybe exhilarating is the right word because we're nervous and excited. Definitely understanding that it's an area that we just need to kind of just learn and just become sponges and try to really hone in on what are those human characteristics that we might be able to move forward with to provide a more ethical space and just to be sharing and talking and conversing and just understanding this a bit more. So I would love for each of you to kind of leave everyone with sort of the one thing that is coming up for you is the next thing that you want to tackle. And the one thing that for everyone here, if there is an opportunity to connect with you, there's another event coming up where they can continue to build their knowledge, share that with them. So just take a moment to think about that. And I would just like to take a moment to thank, first and foremost, Robert Ian Bonnick over there, who is our founder. And for those of you who don't know, he's been running SpeakuP. We're now episode 362. So about 4 years running, rain or shine, every single Monday as a place to come together to be inspired, because we believe that people inspire people, and that the more conversations we have, the more perspective we gain and the more compassionate we become, and that is something we can definitely lean into. So thank you, Robert, for creating this space for us to come together every week and allowing me to take a co-host seat as well. I want to thank our technical partners, Tropical Nomad, Canggu. I mean, how fortunate are we on a Monday evening to be able to come together as humans and have a discussion about technology? So it wouldn't be possible without our technical partners. So thank you so much, Itchy and the Tropical Nomad team. And thirdly, our audience. I mean, this amazing. We have 30 plus people here. We have people tuning in online, and I think it's so special that we can come together and have this dynamic to look out at a sea of faces. It makes for such an engaging conversation and really adds value to everyone who's here. So thank you guys for taking time out of your Monday to be with us. And for those tuning online, thank you for taking that time as well. And lastly, and most importantly, our panelists. You guys are all very busy people trying to learn and outpace an industry that we're all a little fearful of. So thank you for making the time to be here and giving us your time to share your insights, your challenges, the perspective that I think all of us probably want to understand a bit more and don't know the questions to ask. So thank you so much for just giving of your time and space and allowing us to be here. So with that, I would love to have each of you give us your final thoughts.
That was a really good handover. That was better than AI could do. Exactly. Set the bar high. I'm going to be speaking again on AI at the Live Life event, which is here in about a week. And in that set, we're going to dive deeper into some of these topics. I think, as you said, this is an appetizer. This is the intro. And what I would want from the one piece is leave here empowered. My final thoughts are your opportunities that I see right now. Learn prompt engineering. Learn how to talk about what you're passionate about, what you're really good at, what you know better than anyone else because you spent your life honing skills in it, and learn how to talk to the machine about that. Learn how to ask it to do tasks for you that you don't want to do, or learn how to do tasks which are really complex for you to do better, to do faster, to improve on, to add elements that you couldn't do yourself. And the last second part of that thought is to think about AI not in such complicated manners. You only have 3 pieces of AI. Don't let anyone, any blog, any article confuse you. You have horizontal AI, that's AI that crosses many industries and does one practical thing for many, many different people. And you have vertical AI, which is an AI that does something really specific to one vertical extremely well. So a value proposition for many, a value proposition for just one group, yeah. And then you add modules or micro or small AI on top of that, which will enhance all that. There's only 3 pieces of AI. Don't let it get confusing.
Okay, for me, same. It's like basically, right now, everything you do, just drop it and then go to all in AI. That's what I do. That's first thing, and then prompt engineering, and also, yeah, if like you are go to college right now, let's say you go to doctor, better drop it like now, because after that, like 3 years after that, we don't need you. We ask AI for that. If the AI already go to with the robot part, so the bot with the physical product, like the robot part, right now it's pretty expensive, but in 5 years it will be cheap. There is no doctor anymore. Basically, you need to just drop it and learn about AI. And right now, 2023, it's basically a lot of opportunity. And then you can print money easy right now. But I don't know in the next 1 year, you can still print money like now. Yeah, differently. So basically, you just drop it, everything, focus on AI, you will easily print money right now. But I don't know, maybe next year you can print like that, you know. That's my.
So we're telling people to drop out of school or drop out of medicine.
But this is exactly how it felt. The moment ChatGPT came out, I was like, just drop everything. But I would add to it, don't drop anything that is going to be beneficial in the future. So if you're, let's say in real estate, you're writing beautiful books, or you have your own audience. I think in general, I spent most of my careers in developing countries, being born in Germany and growing up in the US. And I've always been incredibly fortunate to have the background that allowed me to do many incredible things. If we look at the transformational power to combine internet with AI and a few YouTube videos, you could literally learn and change the world together easier today than ever thought possible just a year ago. The tools you have for $20 a month with ChatGPT at your own fingertips anywhere in the world right now is so incredibly powerful that I can tell you that Germany's largest research labs are like scared. You have the access to all of that information. So I think it's exciting. I think we're really going to find out what human beings will be doing with all this opportunity and all of this power. I don't think any of us knows. I think it's going to be incredibly unpredictable what's going to happen in the next 6 months, 6 years, 10 years. So I really ask everybody to just also challenge their own belief systems. Because I'm turning 47. June 2nd, we're going to do one more party. So we tend to just be stuck in those belief systems. And what I can tell you right now, like what you have learned from your parents and your grandparents and politicians and people you look up to and people that made a career in the 60s or 70s, except for the knowledge of discipline and learning, all of that stuff will not serve you in the future anymore. Everything you have learned in medical school 5 years ago is outdated. And so if we can really just focus on a few things, stay human, and identify everything that we can contribute to this planet, stay healthy, because we will need to be competitive and resilient. If you're already weak and not learning anymore, you're already dead. Stay curious, and then be part of this incredible future wherever it takes us, because it's definitely going to be better to be part of it and to be benefiting from it than ignoring it and being surprised by it.
I don't even know what to say after this, guys. I mean, they basically cover it all. For me, it's just use it as a tool in your life. Focus, pay close attention, because it's an ever-moving world out there, even moving much faster right now. And if you don't pay attention, you're going to really be left behind. There's never been a greater time to start a company if you truly are an entrepreneur or want to start some business than now. And you can use it. You can use this tool with little to no money, and you can write books. You can do whatever. But for me, it comes down to the human element of things. Just take care of yourself and be more empathetic, and that should take care of it. I mean, there's no AI that's going to help you. Well, kind of get into the space of that. So, just kind of do that. I don't have much to say apart from, yeah.
All right. Well, with that, I want to give everyone an opportunity to maybe stay back a bit and do a little chit-chat with our guests. And thank you so much. Thank you to our guests here, online, in our audience, and we're done.